The House GOP's debt limit bill now facing an uphill battle in the Senate as President Biden is already threatening to veto it. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy scoring a very narrow win last week when the House passed the bill, which raises the debt limit and slashes spending. Maria asked Texas Senator Ted Cruz yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures what to expect. Here's what he said.
What about Senate Republicans? Do you feel that Senate Republicans are united?
Unfortunately, Senate Republicans are never united. There are 49 Senate Republicans and 52 points of view. I think what we ought to be doing in the Senate is we ought to be standing up and backing up the House Republicans. Kevin McCarthy cannot pass a clean debt ceiling in the House. The votes are not there. Right. That's not going to happen, which means Biden is wasting everyone's time with this brinksmanship.
Joining me now is syndicated columnist and senior research fellow at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University, Veronique de Rugy. Veronique, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Look, our deficit is sitting right now $31 trillion, okay? The proposed debt ceiling increase, $1.5 trillion. So McCarthy is already saying, we'll give you a $1.5 trillion increase, but you got to control spending. But we're sitting at $31 trillion. In fact, we're pushing $32 trillion. Your reaction?
Well, even after the debt ceiling deal, right, we still have a $20 trillion increase in the debt ceiling over 10 years. Because when you look at the deficit, it's going to be $20 trillion over 10 years. I mean, we are in a country that is on an unsustainable path. What it looks like is basically reading all the way. What the debt crisis looks like, it's, no one really knows. Does it take the form of really slow growth, or does it take the form of a crisis when, let's say, short-term investors, because 30% of our debt is as a maturity of a year or less, that when these investors start saying, you know what, I worry that all this unpaid debt and all this excess spending is going to be dealt with by the Fed with inflation, for instance. And so it's unsustainable. And the fact that the Democrats won't come to the table for a debt ceiling deal, which is barely anything, it barely scratches the surface. I think they had no choice. I mean, it's problematic.
Steve Scalise was on this week. This was yesterday. And he said, look, he goes, it's been over 2 months since President Biden sat down with Speaker McCarthy to negotiate. And then he says, President Biden clearly trying to, quote, run out the clock and create a debt crisis. That is irresponsible. Is he right?
It is irresponsible, especially now the House, no matter one think of each party, the House has passed a bill. The right thing to do is for people to come to the table, say what they don't like, say what they like, and just try to negotiate. They can't ignore that the House has passed something, right? If I were on the other side, I would be bemoaning that it's so small and that it creates all this crisis. But then I would also, acknowledge that this is probably all they can get at best. But doing nothing, not coming to the table, just saying we're going to veto it and not offering something to counter. And by the way, just a clean bill. They're trying to kind of make it sound as if raising the debt ceiling without any condition is the norm. It's not. There's been a lot of bipartisan agreement during the debt ceiling to address some of our debt problems. It's happened in the past many times, and I just don't understand why they're trying to rewrite history.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I want to add to this, though. The Biden administration will not say how they will respond if there's a default on our debt. So they have no plan. If they've got a plan, they certainly haven't shared it with anyone. And this, to be clear, this is May 1st. Look, I mean, the fiscal year is ending this summer. They've got to, the fiscal year is ending.
There is a plan, right? I mean, Treasury will ultimately, no matter what happens, go into a prioritization mode and will start paying interest on the debt and everything it can to actually avoid a technical default. That's the plan. But I also think that if any past fiscal crisis, past fiscal fights, at the last minute they'll find a way, they'll do something, they'll agree. But the thing that's really problematic is, as you say, this is May 1st. We've been talking about this for months. They should be talking, each side should be coming to the table. The fact that the Democrats' position is we're going to do nothing and bring us to a brink is, again, it's just, I hate to say this, it's like really, it's problematic and it's unserious at this point.
Right.
And more importantly, I hope that the Republicans also understand that this is a small
right.
Fiscal bill. It's very small. What needs to happen is much, much bigger. We have a $116 trillion shortfall for Social Security and Medicare coming our way in the next 30 years. This does not address it at all.
Right. Well, Veronique, I mean, I want to correct myself really quick. The fiscal year ends September 30th, but in my mind, this summer is going to be. We've got to have something. You've got to get something. It's got to happen this summer. And Janet Yellen has already said that this summer is when we're going to have. We're really that's the peril zone for Treasury.
We're two-thirds into the year.
Yeah.
And we've known this for a long time.
And they're going to push to the end. And that's Steve Scalise. They're going to push to the end and create all this drama, and then they're going to get what they want at the end of the day. Veronique de Rugy, thank you very much, Veronique. I appreciate it.
Thank you.